Hello and welcome to another episode of Bedtime Stories with Miss Byrne. We are still reading the chapter book Clementine by Sarah Pennypacker, and tonight we will be reading chapter 4. I'll start with the picture for you. Here's Clementine. Looks like she's covering herself with a blanket. I'd better not go to school today, I told my mom on Wednesday as soon as I woke her up. I have cracked toes. I put my foot right up on the pillow next to her face so she could see without getting up. That is called being thoughtful. Nope, she said, without even opening her eyes to see if it was true. Well, that's not all, I said. I also have the heartbreak of sore irises. Nope, she said again, and she still didn't open her eyes. Actually, I think I have arthritis, I said. Mrs. Jacoby was breathing on me in the elevator the other day, and I must have caught it. Oh, please, she said, but this time she opened one eye. And then she made exactly the sound Polka Dotty used to make when she had a hairball. I grabbed the corner of the quilt and covered my head, but my mom pulled it off again. She took my head in her hands and twisted it around to see all the sides. Too hard, like I wasn't inside it. You've cut off all your hair? She said. You've cut off all your beautiful hair? What on earth were you thinking, Clementine? Look what she did. I guess that's why she was covering her head. I wanted to make Margaret feel better, I explained. I didn't want her to be the only one. But I forgot. Margaret's not going to school today. She has an appointment at the orthodontist's to have bracelets put on her teeth. Mom groaned and closed her eyes again, but she slid over and made room for me on the warm part of her sheets. I climbed in and took a big sniff. My mom's part of the bed smells like cinnamon rolls. My dad's part smells like pine cones. Right in the middle, it's all mixed up perfectly. That's my favorite place to be. But this morning, Dad was already off to fight in the Great Pigeon War, and it was fine just being on the cinnamon roll part. My mom put her arm around me. Oh, so now you'll be the only one, she said. I'm sorry, honey. But you can't stay home. You have to go and face the music. So I had to go to school, which almost turned out to be a very bad mistake because I almost had to go to the hospital with the ambulance and the sirens and everything. It happened in the principal's office when my teacher sent me there to have a little chat about sitting still. When I walked in, Principal Rice made the hairball sound too. Clementine, she gulped. What have you done? You've chopped off all your hair. I was glad she'd answered her question, so I didn't have to. Wow, I said instead. Clementine and Rice. We both have food names. Mrs. Rice sealed her lips tight like she was afraid her teeth were going to run away. Then she opened up the note from my teacher. I can't help it, I said, before she could start the little chat. I'm allergic to sitting still. Nobody is allergic to sitting still, Clementine, she said. I am, I said. My brother is allergic to peanuts. If he eats one, he gets all itchy and swelled up and he can't breathe right. If I try to sit still, I get all itchy and swelled up and I can't breathe right. So that means I'm allergic to sitting still. Mrs. Rice squeezed her eyes shut and rubbed her forehead. I happen to know this means this idea is so bad it's giving me a headache, because it's the face I make when my mother tells me to visit Mrs. Jacoby. The face never works for me. Plus, I explained, if my brother eats even one tiny peanut, he might have to go to the hospital with the ambulance and sirens and everything. So if I sit still for even 1 minute, I gave my body an extra little jiggle to stay safe. Whew, I said. That was close. Principal Rice sighed like a leaky balloon. Clementine, do you think when you're in class you could just try to wiggle a little more quietly from now on? I asked my body about this, and it said, sure. So I told it to Mrs. Rice. Sure, I said. Good, she said. Now, as long as you're here, how about we discuss your hair? Thinking about my hair made me think about Margaret. Thinking about Margaret made me remember her getting bracelets on her teeth. Here she is in the principal's office. I want bracelets on my teeth more than anything. But then I had a bad thought. What if they had pointy edges? I didn't want to have any pointy thing stuck in my mind to worry me all day. So I looked out the window, because the only way to erase pointy things is with round things, and clouds are good for that. Right away, I saw a cloud that would make a wonderful tattoo. It looked exactly like a dog, if dogs had only 2 legs, on the top, not on the bottom. I'm not allowed to have tattoos yet, which is unfair. So for now, I just draw things on my arms so I don't forget them. But I didn't have a pen. I looked around the desk to see if Mrs. Rice had a tattoo drawing pen, and suddenly I realized something very suspicious. I had never seen Mrs. Rice's arms. They were always in principal sleeves. Do you have a tattoo? I asked. Can I see it? What? Mrs. Rice asked. Clementine, we were talking about your hair. That was a long time ago, I reminded her. I added a kind smile, because it's not her fault she has trouble paying attention. All right, that is chapter 4. Clementine ends up in the principal's office again. And I don't know if Miss Rice is going to be very happy with Clementine after the last question she just asked her. But we'll see. So we will read chapter 5 tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.